Hey guys, Darren Sugiyama here. We're right in the middle of this whole quarantine, lockdown, COVID-19 situation, and a lot of businesses out there have really been destroyed because of this whole pandemic. Other businesses are surviving. Fortunately, my businesses have been in that category of businesses that have survived. But regardless of the industry we're in, and regardless of how well or how poor businesses are faring in the middle of this completely new environment, one thing is certain, and that is we all have to evolve our business practices. We all have to start operating differently. Some of us were ahead of the curve and were able to do that and transition relatively smoothly, while others have gone out of business and will probably never recover and get back into business. In my book, How I Built a $37 million Insurance Agency in Less Than 7 Years, I actually talk about what I started doing over a decade ago. Actually, right after, about a year after, I published the first version of this book, the first edition. And so in the second edition, I write quite a bit about what I've done that was really outside the box over a decade ago, and how a lot of those principles apply today. So I'll read to you just a portion of the first chapter in my book. I write, back in 2010, just after I wrote the first edition of this book, I started experimenting with virtual selling employee benefits completely over the phone, where my agents would never have to leave the office. Sound familiar? Okay, so as always, everyone told me it wouldn't work. So what did I do? I used myself as the guinea pig. I built a PowerPoint presentation and a script to go along with it. I used a screen share program and did my entire business owner meetings virtually from my office, completely over the phone and screen share. Initially, I got dismal results, but just like every unorthodox approach in the very beginning of my insurance career, I just needed to tweak it and tune it just right to hit that perfect sweet spot. Once I got it there, I knew I was onto something big. I reviewed it with my two top agents, and we ran a parallel pilot test. Both agents being of comparable skill. One agent continued to run meetings face-to-face. The other, 100% phone-based meetings, screen sharing my PowerPoint presentation, reading from my script. After 3 months of the face-to-face agent had closed 29 new group health insurance clients. Yes, I trained them well. The other agent never left the office. He did everything over the phone and screen share. And in that same period of time, he closed 31 new group health insurance clients. Yes, I trained him well too. So I identified several benefits of virtual selling over the phone. The first one was quality control. I could sit shotgun with a new agent to see exactly what they were saying, and even silently coach them through the call in real time. The second one, higher density of appointments, right? So no drive time meant more phone time. The most face-to-face meetings an agent could run in a day was only 3 to 4, depending on how far apart each appointment was from each other. Whereas my agents could run 7 to 8 appointments a day over the phone due to zero drive time. And then the third thing was expansion of territory. So instead of being geographically limited to a reasonable driving radius from our office, we could transact business with no geographic restrictions. So I thought that the sheer increase in our volume of appointments would make up for any decrease in closing percentage, because we figured that the less personal interaction of the virtual screen share meeting would result in a lower closing percentage. Seems logical, right? You don't have the same person-to-person live interaction. To my surprise, it ended up being completely not only different than what I thought was going to happen, but so much better. Yes, the volume of appointments increased, but to my surprise, my pleasant surprise, that's not all that increased. The virtual style employer meetings actually increased our closing percentage from 24% to 31%, right? Completely illogical on the surface, but there were so many things that went into the way we started transacting business over the phone that now, again, here we are 10 years later, we still transact business not completely over the phone, but probably 80% or more of our client interactions are over the phone, and now we sell nationally. So I took what I learned in developing this virtual model in the employee benefit space and started a completely separate life insurance agency called DaVinci Financial. DaVinci started cold calling into 17 different states. We did the entire process over the phone, including taking the application, scheduling the paramed exam, and delivering the policy, all virtually, never meeting the client in person. The fact that we could now do business out of state from the comfort of our main office in Irvine, California, meant I could get 6 additional hours of production per day, 3 more hours in the morning calling the East Coast, and 3 more hours in the evening calling into Hawaii, which meant almost double the revenue generating hours in a workday. We had out-of-state life insurance clients sending $10,000 to $400,000 in annual premium checks to an agency they'd never heard of, trusting an agent they'd never met in person. Again, everyone told me this would not work. I love it when people tell me something wouldn't work, and it works. This was all done virtually over the phone. Basically, I built a virtual selling model in the insurance world a full decade before the coronavirus pandemic ever forced us to sell over the phone. A thought leader innovates before he is forced to innovate. A thought leader accepts being criticized for attempting to fix what ain't broke, anticipating that his innovation will one day make him a legend. Good is not acceptable. Great is never enough. For a true thought leader, the only acceptable outcome is to become legendary. Whatever type of insurance you specialize in, the old conventional way of transacting business may not be the only way it can be done. Sometimes impossible works better. So that's the environment we're in right now. It's such a crazy environment. I feel very fortunate and very blessed to have a business model that was able to transition into this funky environment we're in now. But for a lot of folks, you know, that I've been doing business the old school way, face to face, belly to belly, you know, shaking hands, doing business on the golf course. A lot of those businesses are struggling heavily right now. And what my hope is that a lot of the principles that I share in this book will help people really not just hear about and learn about how to do things virtually, but how to change your entire mindset, how to understand that a lot of the preconceived ideas we have about how business should be transacted, how relationships can be generated and can be managed over time. A lot of these old paradigms that we've been operating under, you know, in the sales world, not just insurance world, but in sales world in general, this new environment has created huge opportunities to clean up and grab massive market share, because the majority of companies, the majority of people are not going to be open-minded enough to evolve in that manner. So again, I hope this just kind of, this video isn't going to change your life. There's nothing I said in the last, 8 minutes or so I've been talking that's so revolutionary, that's going to make your life better, make you any more money. But my hope is that it starts to open your mind to other ways of doing business. And again, in my book, I talk a lot about how I've done it and how you can do it too. And one of the criticisms I got from that first book was that it wasn't detailed enough and didn't give people specific enough directives in terms of how to execute some of the things I was talking about. And give me a break, man. I was 10 years younger. It was the first book I ever wrote. I'd never written a book before. It was only 100 pages long. This one is about double the page length, and contains some very, very specific how-tos, and gives you not just a general roadmap, but actually gives you the blueprint infrastructure in terms of how to construct some of these PowerPoints and some of these scripts and some of this messaging. So look forward to talking to you guys soon. Pretty early in the morning here. The sun's just about to come up. About to get my workday started. Enjoy the day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.